Back in the hotel provided by the Hunter Bureau, Jin-Chul appears telling Drip-Woo that they couldn't get a hold of him. He responds, saying that he was in a place where no calls could get through temporarily. He asked him if he met up with Jinho there, but Drippy-Woo had no idea what he was talking about. Jin-Chul clarifies that Jinho had left as soon as he received his message saying he was waiting for him at the Hunter Bureau's headquarters. Drippy-Woo is even more confused, asking what he was talking about since that's where he just came from. Adam White comes up to him stating that Jinho's name wasn't in the Bureau's visitors log, making Jin-Chul confused, since a hunter from the Scavenger Guild came to pick him up personally 2 hours ago. Adam White responded saying that even though the Scavenger Guild does have a close relationship with the Hunters Bureau, they do not have any authority to do their job in their stead, saying it would just be faster to contact them and ask them directly. Drippy-Woo questioned why he had a bad feeling about this. Laura, the secretary of the Scavenger Guild, is confused, asking Adam White if he was really telling her that someone from their guild escorted the vice leader of the Ajin Guild away, but realizes something crucial, thinking if he had made a move. Laura asked if Drippy-Woo was made aware of this situation. He responds, saying he didn't know yet, but his party asked about him while he was at the Hunter Bureau. Laura responds saying they would find out as soon as possible, making Adam shout towards Jin-Woo, telling him that the Scavenger Guild said they would look into it, but Drippy-Woo was nowhere in sight. Running on the rooftops of buildings, Drippy-Woo rushes at full speed, saying he was careless. He hadn't placed anyone to guard Jinho after using Shadow Exchange to save his father a while ago, thinking he wouldn't forgive himself if something like the incident from last time were to happen again. "Arise," he commanded, making multiple shadows spawn with Drippy-Woo, ordering them to find him, scattering to every single corner of the city. Thomas and his gang finish beating up a group of suits. Taking off his glasses, he says he's done it now. Hwan Dongsoo. He orders his men to find Hwan Dongsoo before Jin-Woo does, whatever it takes. Standing before a beaten Jinho, Hwan lets out a devilish grin as Jin-Woo stands atop a building, looming down on the city below, listening to people's chatter through his soldiers. Could he have left the city? But Jinho's a combat-type D-rank hunter. Normal people wouldn't be able to take him, even in significant numbers. If a car, supposedly headed for the Hunter Bureau's HQ, suddenly tried to leave the city, Jinho would surely notice something is wrong and resist. The only clue that the culprits left is that they're with the Scavengers Guild. The Scavenger Guild, huh? Hwang Dong-seok's younger brother, Hwang Dongsoo. He must have been waiting for them to enter America for quite a while, so he could find out the truth about his brother's death. Jinho and Jin were the sole survivors of the dungeon back then. Hwang Dongsoo must be certain that they killed his brother back then. Who knew that Woo Jin-cho's warning to him back then would really come true? Jin doesn't regret what he did back then, but this never would have happened if Jin just left a guard with him back then. If anything were to happen to Jinho, meanwhile asking for the non-existent news, Thomas Andre questions if Hwang isn't afraid of death. No, he's an S-rank hunter. He should be aware of the difference in strength between himself and Sung Jinwoo, so doing something so stupid despite knowing that means that Thomas will step up on his behalf. Wondering if he's been too kind to his hunters, Thomas asks Laura how the situation is. She reports that with the Hunter Bureau's cooperation, they've analyzed Mr. Hwang's movement patterns over the past month. There were a total of 3 instances where he strayed from his usual path of activity. He orders her to send all of their guys there and he'll head there too. But wait, he says, and asks her how she managed to convince the Hunter Bureau. She told them that if they don't find Hwang Dongsoo, Thomas and Jin-Woo may collide. Adam reports that all members of the Scavengers Guild are on the move. All scheduled raids have been cancelled and all hunters are moving now. The deputy director realizes that if all members of the Scavenger Guild are on the move, that means Thomas Andre is behind this. So this is big. Just what exactly is going on? He questions. Meanwhile, inside an abandoned factory, a guild member asks if he's sure this is okay, announcing that he's not planning on doing anything to him. Hwang says there's just one thing he wants to know. Thomas warned him not to touch Sung Jinwoo, but he never planned on messing with Jin-Woo in the first place. place because there was one more person who could provide him with answers. He told Jin-Ho that if he spoke honestly on what exactly happened to his brother in that dungeon, then he'd let him go without a scratch. There was just one thing that he wanted to hear, that Sung Jinwoo killed his brother. As soon as Hwan hears that, he's done with Yoo Jinhoo. Telling Jin-Ho to wake up, Hwan punches the beaten man in the chest, causing him to cough blood. Commenting on Jin-Ho's durability, Glasses guesses that he really is a tanker and says any normal human would have died by now. Unsure why the naive-looking bastard is being so stubborn, Hwan says it's commendable but won't lead to forgiveness. Slamming his head against the steel beam and getting close enough to kiss, he tells Jin-Ho that he won't kill him, explaining that the guy behind him is a pretty good healer and he's going to save the battered hunter when he's on the brink of death, which means that until he tells them what they want, he'll be endlessly tortured. On top of that, they're in a factory that's been closed down for over 5 years, so nobody is going to save him no matter how much he screams. Questioning if that makes him want to talk a little, Jin-Ho whispers to him off, getting closer so he can hear. Jin-Ho opens his mouth and sticks up his finger, telling him to fuck off. Angrily, Hwan smashes his head again. Blackie tells him to be careful since he doesn't want to deal with murder for money, to which the S-Rank says he'll be mindful of, asking if they should get started. One of the others questions, "Haven't you found out enough?" Responding, "What are you talking about? We're only just started," Dongsoo says with a devilish grin. Suddenly he looks over curiously as an orc stands at the entrance. Taking off his jacket, he questions if there's a dungeon break nearby or something. Quivering in his shadowy boots, the hunters find it interesting that the shadow soldier is shaking as if it's scared of him. Hwang thrusts at the shadow soldier when suddenly
exchange.
Meanwhile, at his apartment, his mother wonders what he's doing right now. From there, Shadow Beru talks to the mother of their king, saying if there were anything their lord cannot withstand, nobody in the world would be safe from it. They all spot Jin on the news when suddenly Beru is struck with a feeling. He recognizes its familiarity, saying the king is enraged. While the Knights Guild prepares for a raid, Yoon-tae turns, gasping, turning to the boss and telling him the shadows under his feet just shivered. Young-soo dismisses it, asking him how many times he's told him not to drink before a raid. Pleading with the boss that he hasn't had a single drop today, Yoon-tae says the shadows really trembled beneath him. Driving on the highway, Thomas yells for the driver to stop the car after realizing that it's already began. Andre kicks the door off, jumping out. He tells the driver that he's going to go on ahead and orders the driver to follow as fast as he can. Thomas launches across the road as the agents guess they're going to be flooded with damage compensation and he should have just taken the car, punching him in the gut. The members are shocked, and Jin-Ho smiles as Hwan coughs blood before flying backward. He stood there looking menacing, ready to crash out against the MF who hurt his poor baby boy. Jin-Woo attempted to heal him with a health potion in order for him to recover his injuries, but the system informed him that it was impossible to use healing potions to recover a being's health if it's under 10%, making Jin-Woo menacingly ask the two hunters next to him if either of them were healers, threatening them to heal Jin-Ho right now. One of the hunters nervously responded saying he didn't really understand Korean, but Hwang Dongsoo, recovering from Jin-Woo's blow, translates that he was asking them to heal the guy and asked Jin-Woo if this was the first time they've met in person. Jin-Woo, tired of all the yapping, said that he would only say this one more time, heal him. The healer responded nervously that he should convince his boss first. Jin-Woo suddenly grabbed the hunter's face in the fraction of a second, slamming him against a steel pipe, and as he lays there lifeless, the other hunter, scared out of his mind, shouted saying that Dongsoo never said anything about this job being related to Jin-Woo. As he asked if he was also a healer, he repeated the question to the hunter, but as soon as he responded saying the word no, he slammed his entire body on the ground with immense pressure. Dongsoo walked towards Jin-Woo saying it was just as he thought. "It was you, the one who killed my brother Hwang Dong-sook." Jin-Ho, on the brink of death, called for his papa, telling him that he was Hwang Dong-sook's younger brother, saying he should be careful. Jin-Woo looks back at him, responding that he shouldn't talk anymore since soon he would get his revenge. Dongsoo told Jin-Woo to answer his question, asking if he truly was the one who killed his brother and his teammates. He responded saying to go ask his brother himself, which infuriated Dongsoo for his response. launching a sudden attack with his right fist at full power. But Drippy Woo manages to dodge the attack with ease, quickly counterattacking with a devastating blow to Dongsoo's gut, making him spew blood, which suddenly launched him outside of the factory and crashing into a steel beam. Dongsoo grits his teeth, but without even being able to catch his breath, he quickly looks to his side, seeing Drippy Woo just standing there nonchalantly. Dongsoo tries to go for another attack, lunging at him once more, but considering how slow he was, Drippy Woo raises his hands, slamming his entire face into the beam, and stands over him like he's his big daddy. He raises the hunter's head once again, as loud slams could be heard from the distance, with Drippy Woo relentlessly slamming Dongsoo's head into the ground. Commissandre suddenly arrives at the scene, saying to stop right there, telling Dongsoo that he's repeatedly told him not to touch Jin-Woo and asked him if he was still even alive. He responded saying, "For now," making Andre tell him that if he understood English this much, then it would be easier to communicate, saying that if he lets him go right now, he'll let what has happened so far slide. He responded asking what would happen if he were to refuse, making Andre say that if that were the case, then it wouldn't be a request anymore. Jin-Woo suddenly tossed Dongsoo to the side like a rag, saying it was fine by him. But this is also a part of Dongsoo's plan, stating that Andre was doing great since he wouldn't have a choice but to interfere in this matter, thinking that he just needed to hurry up and kill Sung Jinwoo in his stead. Both hunters prepare to face off against each other, with Andre asking if maybe he didn't know who he was. But Jin-Woo, on the brink of crashing out, responded saying it didn't matter. It didn't matter who he is. Andre, confused about the situation, thought to himself that even though he knows exactly who he is, he would still try to oppose him like this. The panel switches over to a flashback of his childhood, where it stated that Thomas Andre had grown up in a poor immigrant family which had many enemies. Even though it seemed like he had nothing, he had been granted with an overwhelming talent that surpassed all else. Overwhelming strength. He had proved his innate abilities with a countless number of fights, showing him that violence could change the perception of those who felt hostile towards him. And when he finally had gained the power of a hunter, he took the opportunity to finally be proclaimed as a true king, destroying those who got in his way and making those who looked down on him kneel in his presence, meaning he knew how to deal with those who refused to obey him. Andre suddenly extended his hand towards Drippy Woo, saying he should only blame his arrogance for what's about to happen. Hunters from the Scavenger Guild finally arrive at the abandoned factory, getting ready to aid Thomas Andre in his fight against Drippy Woo, but in the fraction of a second something came flying right past them at terrifying speeds. There stood the national-level hunter Thomas Andre, after getting sent flying by one of Sung Jinwoo's devastating blows. Hunters of the Scavenger Guild asked if he was all right after receiving such a blow. Angered by what just happened, Andre walks past his guild members, getting ready to get his second serving. Drippy Woo summons both Igris and Kaisel, commanding them to take Jinhoo to the nearest hospital and to use any means to make sure he gets treated. As the dragon flies away at full speed, Thomas Andre and every single one of his Scavenger Guild members prepare to go on an all-out war against Sung Jinwoo and his entire shadow army. Andre couldn't help but smile, saying he would finally get to fight a worthy opponent, thinking that he couldn't care less about Hwan Dongsoo anymore, since there's only one way to redeem his damaged pride: killing that motherfucker. Andre stated that it wasn't too late for him to admit his mistakes and back off, saying that he would at least spare his life if he apologized. But without even a word, Diddy Woo suddenly pulls out his middle finger, basically telling him to go fuck himself. This hit the limit of Andre's patience, shouting that this fucker won't back down till the end, charging up his reinforcement skill, saying that he'll regret not having taken this last chance he had given him. Both armies seem to be ready to fight. Jin-Woo orders them to advance, making Andre tell his subordinates to prepare, saying they were coming. A full-on war between the Scavenger Guild and the Shadow Army begins. Tankers rush to the front line, deploying their shields, creating an enormous wall blocking the never-ending onslaught of the undying soldiers. Andre suddenly blitzed into the middle of the army, slaughtering multiple shadows in the fraction of a second. Noticing Tusk towering over him with a shield blocking his way, Andre suddenly crushed the ground, shooting his entire body through the enormous shadow, saying those guys didn't stand a chance against him, slamming through the factory building's roof. Seeing that his subordinates were getting one-sidedly beaten by Drippy Woo's army, a hunter tried to slash him, but he dodges with minimal difficulty, noticing the arrival of Thomas Andre. He suddenly launched himself towards Rizzy Woo at an incredible speed, but Iron quickly intercepted him, attempting to block the attack, though Andre managed to punch him out of the way with minimal difficulty, telling him to move. Andre noticed that Jin-Woo was nowhere to be seen, making him question where he had gone, but he suddenly appeared at his side in the fraction of a second, swinging his dagger at his ribcage at full force, but the attack was unable to even leave a single scratch on him, leaving Sung Jinwoo wide open for a counterattack, making Andre quickly launch a devastating blow to Rizzy Woo's right shoulder, which sent him flying. He asked if he was really trying to look down on the power of a national-level hunter, activating his psychokinesis skill, pulling Drip Woo right towards him. Andre shouted, telling him to feel the difference in their strength and despair, making Diddy Woo lock back into the fight, activating his own unique ability, Ruler's Authority, completely overpowering Thomas Andre's skill. He questioned if he planned on crushing him like this, but it seemed more like he was holding him fixed in place, completely shocking Andre since Drippy Woo decided to attack even as he was being pulled towards him. Drippy Woo suddenly managed to land a devastating blow right on Andre's face, launching him across the factory, making him question if he was really bleeding. But without even being able to catch his breath, Drippy Woo suddenly popped in right in front of him, asking him if this was really the despair he wanted him to feel, launching continuous blows towards him at immeasurable speeds. Tired of the continuous attacks, Andre stated that he would now stop underestimating his opponent, locking back in and activating his unique ability. As a convoy of vehicles drive towards the ongoing battle, the driver tells Adam White that it's about time he explains what the hell is going on. He responded saying that there wasn't any time to explain in detail, but the driver suddenly sensed that there was something wrong, telling Adam White that he might not be able to tell since he's a normal civilian, but if they go any further than this, they'd be risking their lives. Seeing Thomas Andre's transformation reminded Drippy Woo of Kamish's warning, saying that there were 4 humans who had borrowed the ruler's strength, and that it's possible that they are among the 5 who survived the Kamish raid, meaning they might be the 4 national-level hunters, with Thomas Andre being one of them. Drip Woo suddenly dashed towards Andre at immeasurable speeds, making him quickly raise his hands for an attack, stopping Rizzy Woo in his tracks, making him wonder what was to come. Andre suddenly slammed the ground with overwhelming strength, utterly crushing the ground in its entirety. Drippy Woo quickly leaped backwards in order to avoid it, that is until Andre activated his ability, Capture. The hunters of the Scavenger Guild, knowing the power of such ability, quickly shouted, telling everyone to get away from him. The unsuspecting shadow soldiers were quickly pulled into the black hole, swallowing them in. Shocked by the power of such ability, Rizzy Woo stated that he would have been sucked in if it weren't for his ruler's authority skill, which was holding him in place. Seeing that he was left unscathed, Andre suddenly shot a powerful blast, destroying the building Jin-Woo was standing on, but he managed to dodge the attack with ease, landing on a steel beam while staring down above him, making Andre state that he wouldn't be missing the next time. With the previous attack having injured most of the hunters from the Scavenger Guild, a hunter quickly shouted, saying to move as far away from Andre as possible in order to avoid getting in the middle of such a gruesome battle. Andre prepared to go after Rizzy Woo, launching himself towards him at immeasurable speeds, and as soon as he was about to make impact, Drippy Woo instantly stepped on Andre's face, launching himself backwards, not wanting him to get away. He quickly activated his capture skill, attempting to pull him right towards him, but Drippy Woo suddenly activated his ruler's authority skill, extending his hand backwards, leaving Andre confused, since he was trying to pull him towards him while accelerating, making him question if he was planning to face him head-on. Andre activated reinforcement on his left hand, saying if that was the case, then he would take him on gladly. A devastating clash ensued between the strongest man in America, Thomas Andre, versus the nonchalant Riz King, Sung Jinwoo. But inevitably, Andre ended up losing the clash, which sent him flying through the warehouse with Drippy Woo following right after him. Andre went berserk, jumping out of the rubble, As Jin-Woo dashed right towards him, he attempted a counterattack, launching a devastating blow, but Jin-Woo managed to dodge the attack with ease, grabbing his armor's horns and meat-kicking him right in the face with immeasurable strength, which ended up cracking his helmet. Outside of the warehouse, the Hunter Bureau finally arrived at the scene with both the driver and Adam White in absolute shock while watching the ongoing battle, asking themselves just what kind of monsters are they to be emitting this much magical energy. The driver explains to Adam that he should really brace himself since being here was extremely dangerous. As the warehouse began to collapse, Adam asked if that was really who he thought it was, making the driver confirm his suspicions, saying that was indeed Thomas Andre. The driver asked what they should do in this current situation. Adam responded saying that they must stop them at all costs, making the driver ask, "How the hell are we gonna stop Sung Jinwoo from pulverizing Thomas Andre?" As Jin-Woo kept pummeling Andre into the ground, he wondered how. How could a mage-type hunter produce such insane strength and speed? He questioned if he was really going to lose, stating that there was no way that was possible. Something like that could never happen to him. But as he felt every single one of Jin-Woo's blows, he denied it even further, saying that the only thing that defined him was his overwhelmingly oppressive violence. He suddenly stood up shouting that he is Thomas Andre, asking if he really thought this was enough to take him down. That is until Jin-Woo struck him from behind, saying that he had already told him, telling him that it didn't matter who he was. The hunters could only watch as their guild master was getting utterly destroyed into oblivion, making Adam White shout, asking and begging for him to stop. But that didn't stop Jin-Woo from pounding him over and over again. No, did he? Thomas Andre was getting hit with blow after blow, punch after punch, relentlessly getting pummeled into the ground. That is until he said the words, "It's over," stopping Papa Wu in his tracks. "I lost," Andre stated. The hunters watch on as the battle ultimately ended in Andre's defeat. Adam White couldn't believe his eyes, saying that to reduce the great Thomas Andre to such a state, asking how many hunters in the world could do such a feat, questioning if there are even any who could do so in the first place, stating that once this news gets out, it will shake the entire world completely. Adam White ordered the healer to heal him as quickly as possible, but the healer stated that every single one of his bones in his body had been broken, and since he had severe blood loss as well, he alone wouldn't be enough for this, saying that it would be better for all the healers to treat him together. The healer stated that it was only because he's a national-level hunter that he was able to survive this long, saying that any other hunter would have died at least 10 times over from this amount of damage. But luckily it didn't look like anyone had died from this devastating battle. Adam White covered his face, saying that at least this was the best outcome that could have occurred. But suddenly, a bureau agent shouted, telling him to look over there, saying that Hunter Hwan Dongsoo wasn't breathing, and that his heart wasn't beating, and that Sung Jinwoo was nowhere to be seen. Back in Korea at the top of a building, Jin-Woo stated that he had used Shadow Exchange in order to swap locations with Baru and asked the shadowy being next to him if it had been a while since he had been to Korea, saying that what he was looking at right at this moment was the city of Seoul. He stated that as they spoke, Baru was busy healing Jinhoo to the best of his abilities in America. "My king," the shadow soldier called out, making Papa Wu respond, asking, "What is it?" The general-grade shadow soldier kneeled down in one knee, asking him to bestow a name upon him as well. Jin-Woo responded, asking how the name Greed sounded to him, since he had died being a greedy MF, and asked Hwang Dong-soo what he thought about it and if he liked it. "Thank you, my king," Greed responded, making Jin-Woo order him to put his head back on the ground as punishment for the crimes he had committed when he was alive.